Well, the thought of returning to work during a pandemic can be stressful, even a trigger for those with anxiety or depression. This means for many applying for mental health disability benefits. But before you do, experts say there are a few important things to be aware of. For more on this, we're joined by personal injury lawyer Nainesh Kotak. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Thank you, Anthony. Great to see you.
So applying for the benefits doesn't mean, in many cases, proves that it's not possible to get accepted. Talk about how difficult that is for a lot of people.
Right. Well, we have to look at how insurance companies and employers look at mental health. There still is that stigma attached, first of all. So there tends to be a bit of an underreporting of claims. 1 in 5 Canadians at some point in their life is going to suffer from a mental illness. And there's a subset of population who are going to find it really difficult to get back to work. And those are the people with underlying anxiety and depression. The problem is often you don't see it. You can't, it's not like a physical injury where there's limping or an obvious impairment. So mental illness claims are still, unfortunately, much more difficult to prove, even with Bell Let's Talk, et cetera, and a change in society's views. So it is much more difficult to prove, but not impossible. And I have certainly some pointers, if you wish, Anthony. I can set out in terms of a guide to making a claim if you do, in fact, if you are suffering from anxiety and simply it's overwhelming to get back to work.
Yeah, that was my next question. Please go ahead.
All right. So first of all, understand that there needs to be supporting medical documentation from a treating physician to confirm that you're unable to work. So once you've spoken to your doctor and you've had that discussion that, look, it's overwhelming, past trauma, for example, is arising due to the fear of COVID, make that decision to make a disability claim, assuming you have a plan available at work. The plan itself would have an application process that has 3 forms. The first form is the employee statement, and that simply sets out your subjective, and that is how you personally feel about returning to work and what's troubling you, sleeplessness or panic attacks, etc. The employer will fill out a statement, which is usually very just factual. First day of work, last day appearing at work, and salary details. I would say the most important form is the physician's statement. And what's important is not just the diagnosis that the doctor gives. The doctor may say increased stress, anxiety, OCD, but what's more importantly is they need to comment on your ability to function due to that anxiety or depression. In other words, what's your prognosis and how it impacts the ability to work or in fact makes you unable to work. And of course, with suggested treatment options. Of course, you must follow what your doctor says in terms of treatment, because most disability contracts provide that if you don't follow an approved form of treatment, then you're not going to get paid. One important tip, one of the cheapest ways to do surveillance, they still have the cloak and dagger, hire the private investigator, follow you. That sometimes still happens. One of the cheapest ways for insurance companies is to look at your social media. Because people have a tendency to post happy things, even if they're not happy on the inside. They will post happy things on social media. Keep it private as opposed to public, and make sure that what you tell the insurance company is actually true, and so that you're not caught out if something in your social media is shown that is different than what you say.
All right, a lot of incredibly important information. We really appreciate all of your time for all of this. Obviously, an incredibly important issue for so many people as they head back to work. Nainesh Kotak, thank you so much for all of this.
Thank you, Anthony.